right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. This is another awesome episode, and we are moving into the fall weather. I was just speaking with our guests about that today and how excited I am for us to finally come out of the triple digits here in Arizona. I don't know how many more weeks we have left of the triple digits, but my gosh, come on. It is almost October and we are still blasting at 104 degrees and our evenings are in the 80s. That is just not good boot weather. And I'm used to pulling out my boots by now. So I'm getting a little frustrated with it, but it is what it is. So we've got to roll with it. But I swear I think I'm just going to throw on my boots and a sweater and just die and sweat one of these days, just because I want to feel like it's fall. So I decorated the inside of my house already and have all of my pumpkins up. So inside my house, I feel like it's fall. And then I walk outside and it's like walking into a dry oven. So one of these days it'll even itself out. But I am excited for the fall weather. I love the fall, especially because it reminds me of family and gratitude and how thankful I am for things in my life. And I feel like we come out of our homes more in Arizona when the weather is cooler. And so we get to celebrate with our friends more. So I am very excited about some of the upcoming holidays that we have, as well as some of the upcoming events that we have with Lead Up for Women. So let's get caught up very quickly before we get to our guests, because today we're going to be speaking about how we help women rise and thrive. Ladies, not survive, thrive. It's all about thriving today on our show, and how to decipher the joy code, bringing more joy into our lives. So how do we do that? Well, we surround ourselves with people that help lift us, that give us fuel, that give us the energy, that are our cheerleaders, that don't judge us, that don't compare. And these are the ladies that we bring forward in Lead Up for Women. And we have a Teaching Tuesday webinar that we do twice a month. And I invite all of you to join these free webinars. It is 60 minutes out of your week on a Tuesday, the second or the fourth Tuesday, for you to learn from one of our experts. We just learned about DNA and how to do some experiments on what brings you joy and how you're able to look at a difference in your career. So we just talked about that this Tuesday, which was yesterday. Our next one, we have Kat LaCohe coming forward. She's going to be speaking to us about burlesque. Now, I know some women are like, ooh, I'm not really sure if I want to learn about burlesque. Here's what I want to say about that. If it makes you uncomfortable, you need to attend, because she's talking about how inside your personality is and how you can tap into who you really are and really bring that personality out on the outside. So she's not going to have you like grabbing your feather boas from the closet, but I do believe it's going to be a lot of fun and a way for us to learn. So that's on October 13th. We'll put the link on Facebook as well as in the description here on the podcast. And then, of course, we do it on the 4th, the 2nd, and the 4th, and the 2nd and the 4th. So you can go sign up for the next 3. All you do is go to leadupforwomen.com/events. So we hope to see you there. And we have networking opportunities for you. Many of you ladies haven't heard about this, but we do a lunch and learn once a month now. It's a spinoff of when we were on the road last year and we went to 10 different states and had a 3-hour luncheon. I know that we're on Zoom a lot and no one wants to sit for 3 hours. So we did a 90-minute networking opportunity for you to bring your lunches, meet with other women. And we do this every single month on the first Thursday of the month. So go register for that. Again, go online to leadupforwomen.com/events and get yourself registered for that. This is a way for you to get outside of your bubble, meet some other ladies, expand your circle of influence, again, and be able to expand your business, because everyone there wants to do business with each other. That's what it's about. So super excited for that opportunity. So let's get moving on to our guests that are here with us today. And my first guest is Kathleen McDermott. So Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Colleen and Carol. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited.
Yeah, this is great. I want to talk really quickly about who Kathleen is. So she's the founder of Yoga. Look, there's no way I'm going to be able to say, hold on. Yoga-losophy?
Yes.
Yes. That was the first time I looked at the paper. And this is why I love. She is helping women rise and thrive beyond divorce, because there's still so much left to live. And I can tell you my last divorce, I think I was in my 30, and I have lived so much since 30. So for us to think our lives are over after a divorce, no, 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 ladies, there's so much more. She's a mom of 26-year-old twin boys. How exciting is that? She teaches yoga and coaches women through challenges, loss, and fear, and has done this since 2006. So I believe Kathleen's got a little credibility in this area of how she's helping women cope with all these changes in their lives. So Kathleen, welcome to the show, and let's hear a little bit more about what it was like raising 26-year-old twin boys. They're 26 today, but what it was like raising twin boys. I just want to talk about that first. And then how you, from the point of you raising your boys, your twin boys, pivoted and created this life that where you thrive and you're helping other women thrive, because there was a journey there, and we would love to hear about your journey.
It was a journey with a capital. In fact, it was all caps. But if you know me, you know my greatest gifts and honor is to be the mom of Connor and Cameron. And Cameron will always tell you that he's older by 2 minutes. And what one didn't think of, the other one did. So it was always a ride with twin boys. But it's never been anything but exciting and joyful and a blessing. My journey, really, it's very interesting on how I had started taking yoga when the boys were little, and I really fell in love with it. And eventually you follow that path, and I decided I wanted to become a yoga teacher, and I wanted to be different. Of course, my father used to always say, "Do you have to be different?" Yes, it's my mantra. As I took my training, I became an adaptive yoga teacher, which is completely different than most of the branches of yoga. And as I was teaching, I began to see that something was happening. I had gentlemen in the class, but something was happening with the women in the class in certain poses, certain postures. Now, yoga is the self-discovery, it's the journey, it's the transformation. Asana is the posture, is the movement. So they're different, and they come together to assist on our own personal journey. And being able to see that something was occurring between a woman and a pose, it was something I began to watch and began to develop. And with adaptive yoga, that's my huge heartfelt. I love that word because it's about you in your journey. So when you walk into a class, or you walk into work with a video or a magazine, you see these poses. And we quite often think that that's the way the pose is supposed to look. Well, that is not necessarily your body. It's not necessarily your journey. But that's what was happening as they were struggling in certain poses. It was about finding how that pose could transition for them, and then help them move forward, not just in physical piece as far as the pose was comfortable for them, but to help them relate what was happening off the mat and on the mat. So long story short, I decided, or I realized that something more was happening than just teaching a yoga class. I was holding space for them on their journey, and I wanted to honor that. So realized it was in a label, the coaching world. So I did the certifications and just continued to work with women in a way that was serving them. None of it was about my pose, my body. It was about them. And midlife, we hit midlife, and so many changes seem to happen. The change, and sadly, divorce is very common, and the empty nest. Those are three probably of the most common in midlife. And when we hit these massive changes, and some of which we were never expecting, or we just didn't think were going to be maybe as traumatic as they were, they can really knock us for a loop. And as I was working with women and working with teaching classes, holding space and coaching groups and private clients, the universe said, well, we're going to put you on every midlife challenge we can come up with so that you can strengthen your own heart. And if you survive it, then I want you to go out and serve women even more. Well, it was traumatic, but I said, if the methods that I was holding for women in classes and in sessions, it was working for them, it would work for me. So going through the midlife physical change as well as the divorce, which was traumatic, but ladies, coming out the other side, doing the work was just incredible. And you talk about women finding joy and why we don't. In coming back to childhood, I see we come into this world, these perfect little beings, and then the world gets their hands on us. And then everybody, for the most part, does the absolute best that they can with what they know. It's just the way it is. But that process of being influenced with all of our surroundings and people around us, that we begin to lose ourselves in a way that the layers just keep piling up and piling up and piling up. And then when we reach a certain point, usually in our 30s, the hats really start coming on. We start putting on all these different hats on top of the ones that we've developed as just being a daughter or a wife or a mom, but all these other hats begin to come on. So the question is, who are we? Who are you? And then when a rug gets pulled out from underneath us, like divorce, that vision we had of growing old together, that may have ended, but you haven't. Mm-hmm. And part of that process is really magical. All of midlife disruptions, I like to compare to a volcano. It's rumbling, it's rumbling, it's rumbling, and it gets more feisty and more feisty till it erupts. So that eruption can be either hormonal changes you're going through. It can be that trauma of divorce, or feeling, who am I as a mother when my children leave? But that volcano, that eruption, the rumbling that's happening, is you wanting to get out. Finally, get out from underneath all the hats, to get out from underneath all of the layers, to shed those. And it's very magical to be able to work within certain poses. So it's not a yoga class, but there's certain poses, like balancing poses, that really help with the comparison of control versus going with the ebb and flow. Mm-hmm. There are certain poses that really help remember how strong you are, because you can begin to see that and feel it within yourself. And it all relates to what's happening off the mat. So it's really a time of life. Even if you're going through divorce, no matter what side of the table you're on, it's hard. It's hard. Doing the work and moving forward is hard. Choose your hard. Mm-hmm. In order for us to go forward, we need to honor our trust and have faith in ourselves and our own experience. Mm-hmm. We need to, in order to go forward, we need to go back. We need to look at, where did all that, I need to be this way, I need to do this way, I need to look this way, I need to feel this way, where did all that come from? Those, most of the time, were other people's influences that we've taken on as our own. Yeah. And once we can begin to realize that and let them understand it and accept that, I can honor that by giving it back to that person. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's all around us, Kathleen. When you look at any magazines that exist, and this is how the trends are for how you wear your hair. These are the clothes trends. It's all about everyone wearing kind of the same thing, right? Or looking the same. So we can all definitely agree that in the culture and society today, it's really more about fitting in than standing out. And who do we notice most? Who are we always noticing? The ones that stand out. And this is our opportunity as women, especially at the age when we're hitting kind of this midlife age, is for us to really be able to even step into many of those identities and celebrate them more so than, even my story back when I was taking my kids to school at dark in the morning and then picking them up dark at night because I had a career, was looked at by other moms like, wow, she doesn't care about her kids. She only cares about her career. Well, no, I absolutely care about my kids. That's why I'm providing for them with my career, and being able to raise them. So we all see it through a different lens. And I feel like when we become empty nesters, it's like this kind of big void that we have in our lives because we dive so much into motherhood.
and being mothers, right, Kathleen? And then when we feel like, oh, our kids are grown, they don't need us anymore. They do. It's just in a different way.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And so it's leaning into that. So I wanted to anchor in that point because my gosh, I definitely for sure know that we come alive, right? When we're in that midlife, we come alive. So tell us more. Go ahead and tell us more, Kathleen, about how you work with women and help them really thrive in their lives and the event that you have going on right now and helping them do that.
The yoga philosophy itself it's a method. There are 6 steps to the yoga philosophy method. And one of which, of course, has to be that self-discovery. It has to be going back and really figuring out, okay, what is it that has never been yours to carry? If you're worried about what other people think, we want to look at that. Of course, we kind of make light of it, but it's true. The people that you're worried about what they think, they're worrying about what people think, they're worrying about what people think. So it's just a vicious cycle. So we work with these thought processes to find out what really doesn't serve you anymore and what really are your thoughts. You know, I was raised and found and discovered as I was going through and doing my own work that a lot of my thoughts were my dad's on how he felt about things in life. And that's all well and good for dad, but that wasn't necessarily the person and the soul that I am. And with working in movement, in breath and meditation, people will say, well, I could never meditate or I could never do yoga. When we're going on a self-discovery journey, the best way to do that and just starting point is to come back to to get to who you are, is to come back to the breath. So with the self-discovery, we work with the breath. Because every time we do, we come back to the self and we relax and we calm. With adaption, it's also the same with meditation. I try to help women find that way of meditating that is theirs. For example, Carol might like the traditional meditation pose. That might serve her beautifully on her journey. But for Colleen, for you, it might be a quiet walk in the neighborhood or in the woods. It could be sitting in your favorite chair with a cup of tea. It's really about finding out what is yours. Because
That's a great point.
if it's not, you're not going to come back to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the yoga poses. It's the same thing. What is yours to help you recognize where you are right now?
Yeah. Yeah. It's uniquely yours, right? It's what makes you unique. So I love that. So you said you had an event that you were doing right now and helping women. Tell us about that event so we can promote that for you.
This month, September, has been National Menopause Month. And we know what a ride perimenopause is. So some other ladies and I have been doing an event each Thursday night. And this week we have 2 fabulous ladies, Liz Pleva and Martha Rose of White Rose Eclectics. And Liz is with Closet Play Image. We have done a segment each week that has served, whether it be nutrition, or me, it was that overwhelm, that physical change, that volcano. And this week the ladies are presenting on, this is not your mother's midlife. You know, it's not the polyester pants. And we all have that physical change going on with the hormonal changes. So they're going to discuss styling and how to feel great and look how you want to look now in this time of life. So it's really about helping women move through that midlife change of the change. And some of them are going through other changes as well. But if we deal with the underlying emotions and thoughts and processes of each, it definitely makes the journey a whole lot better. And something's happened here. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I hope you didn't all see that. But you love technology.
No, we didn't. What were the dates again of your event?
So the next event is this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And it's Menopause, A New Beginning, Come Alive and Thrive. You can find the Facebook group page and we get you the link and you can be on tonight. And then we have a happy hour event of question and answer with our whole panel the first Thursday in October.
Okay, great. Great. Awesome. So we'll put all that information in the comment section. Kathleen will below in Facebook. So anyone that's watching right now, as well as if you're listening to the podcast, we will have the link of that information available to you for you to be able to join in on that when our podcast is live And there'll be a link in the description, so you can click on that as well. So Kathleen, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your journey with us, because it sounds familiar journey, ladies, right? We have similar journeys as ladies, and that is why we unite women together to share our stories, and it becomes fuel and it's helpful for us when we're lifting other women and when we are sharing in their challenges and getting information of how they were able to navigate through some of these hurdles in their lives, for us to be able to get through them a little bit easier, and then have the help of women that have already been through it and have understood how to navigate through it. So Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing that information. So let us move on to Carol Benson, who is an enthusiast joy whisperer. I love that. And transformational coach. So she's an advocate of the Joy Code. So today we're going to decipher the Joy Code with Carol Benson, because dang it, if you ask me, we all need to have more joy in our lives. And going back to what Kathleen just said, we don't realize, but when we were younger, you know, I talked with a couple clients the other day, and they said, you know, my parents used to always say how hard it was. It's hard in life. It's hard to make money. And I believe me and all of my siblings, she said, were raised thinking life was hard and it's hard to make money. And it's really hard for me to get that out of my belief that everything I do has to be hard, because I'm self-sabotaging myself and making everything hard. How do I get out of that? And so, Kathleen, what you said relates so much to what women go through and what happens, you know, in the foundation that was laid when we were children. And let me tell you, I don't ever remember joy being in my vocabulary when I was younger, you know, other than when I was a child and I just had that, you know, being free. And then of course, when the world gets a hold of you, it feels like they clutch a hold of you, and then you're taught all these things that make life so hard. Joy is not at the top of the list on what we want to get to. And today, for many women, it's like the absolute top echelon of a feeling, you know, beyond happiness. And I want Carol, who, gosh, you have co-founded It Doesn't Feel Like Work. Love that. It doesn't feel like work, where she's helping business owners and entrepreneurs transform those aspects of their lives where they feel totally frustrated. So Carol, welcome to the show.
I'm delighted to be here, Colleen. Thank you for inviting me. And Kathleen, I have I could piggyback on so much of what you said. So, I mean, it's kind of an exciting opportunity for really to have conversations, not just talk, but to really dig deep into what's underneath joy and thriving. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carol, tell us, why did you write a book about thriving? Why joy? There had to have been something along the way in your life that really got you to the point where you wanted to step into sharing this information with others because it changed your life somehow. What was that?
Well, there's so many things. I mean, the first book that I wrote was 5 Steps to Thrive, Reveal Any Crisis as Opportunity. And I wrote it with my husband, Paul, who's also my business partner in It Doesn't Feel Like Work. And his focus is building wealth, and my focus is building joy, so that it doesn't feel like work. Things shouldn't feel so hard. And like you said, Colleen, many of us were raised with work is hard, or work hard and you will get whatever your financial goals are or your professional goals. And I, like you both, have had a practice husband who I was with for 15 years, and I had 2 sons, and both of my sons are in their 20s now. They're adults, and of course they're both here at home, right? Because that's kind of what life is handing us right now. And I met Paul, and we got married in 2006. And if everyone remembers what happened in 2008, 9, and 10, I mean, we had multi-million-dollar businesses, we had retirement funds, we were traveling all over the world. I mean, we thought, oh my goodness, we found each other. We're having like the best relationship. Finally, we each discovered our best friends who we like to hang out with. And then everything fell apart. We ended up losing multi-million-dollar businesses, even our home. And we made decisions financially to support the guys who worked for my husband and their families, and that hurt us financially in the long term. But we just felt, we had to take care of them as well and keep the business going as long as we could. So here we are, totally in love, embarking on this great relationship together, and we got hit hard, and it almost felt like the rug was pulled out from under us. Really, truly it did. And I remember up at night, like we finally got that notice, the bank is taking our home. I mean, in the middle of the night, I'd be like woken up, just totally like eyes wide. You know how that adrenaline just goes through you, and your thoughts are like going into fears, and I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to be homeless. I said, no, we could be homeless. This is a reality that we never thought we'd share together. And what's going to happen to us, my sons, the dog, the cat, our stuff. And I just, Paul was up too, and I said, we have to stop this. What we need to do is take care of our immune system and regulate our emotions. And we need to create thriving in some way. And so what happened was everything's worked out, and we started sleeping through the night, and just one by one pieces just came together. And one day Paul came home after a horrendous day, and he just said, you know what? We're happy in hell. And I just go,
Cute.
oh my God, we are. What the heck are we doing? And so I said, we got to write a book about this because we can help people thrive. And so that's how 5 Steps to Thrive came to being. And the Joy Code, okay, we've all been in the house way too long, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, over half a year has passed. It is just shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I live in Northern California, so we've been dealing with not only the pandemic, but there's fires around us and smoke and horrible air quality. And I mean, we're safe, but it's scary. It's really scary. March 16th, I remember the date quite well, of this year, we got the I guess, the order to shelter in place.
Mm.
And I was so worried at that point about what's going to happen if my husband's employees can't work anymore. What's going to happen to us financially? Because everything changed. And I know I was not alone in this. And I really was going down that rabbit hole of fear and anxiety. And you both know that, right? And I don't think there's anyone watching this who didn't have those moments of fear and anxiety, right? I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and even though I'm masterful at regulating my emotions, I could not get a handle on them. And after about almost an hour, I thought, I need some support. And that's a thing. We are all in this together. We are not alone unless you choose to do it alone, and that's a hard way. We're community, we're tribe, we're women. I mean, we're sisters. There's a sisterhood between all of us. And so I first called Paul, went to voicemail, and then I texted a very dear girlfriend of mine, and I said, I'm freaking out. Do you have any moments to talk? Let me know when. And she called me. And she said, "What's up?" And I vented to her what was going on, my feelings of anxiety and fear, and that I just could feel the adrenaline, just shooting through my entire system. You guys know that feeling? It's not fun. You feel like you're on this runway, you're on this runaway train, and you just can't slow it down. And she heard me, and then she said this, "Carol, stop it. Knock it off. You are masterful at this. This is what you show people how to do. Stop it." And she's not a harsh person. And it just hit me. It hit me in a way where I go, oh my, she's right. I got this. I did it before in 2008, 9, and 10 when we were losing everything. Now we have the health piece along with the economic piece. So I'm going to do it again. And then I started having all these conversations with colleagues, like all the Zoom meetings we're all on, right? And everyone said the same thing. They couldn't find joy. And it bothered me. When you have this feeling inside that is just like it won't go away. I felt so sad. And then I was questioning myself. It's like, how come I wake up every morning excited and joyful and celebrating life? Like, what am I doing? Am I doing anything differently than anyone else? And oh, shoot. I thought I turned this off. Ah!
That's okay.
Sorry. I'll just turn it off. I apologize for that. And I thought about it, and it was just, creating something new in me. Like, how can I serve others? How can I serve others? And I had this idea that popped in called the Joy Code. And because of my background, way back when, as a speech language pathologist, neuroscience has become, it's a language that I understand. I look at behavior, I look at everything based on my training and my experience professionally working with mostly social intelligence and emotional intelligence disorders of language. That was like my specialty area with autism and high-tech engineers and all that stuff. And then I went into the coaching world and I saw that was going on as well. Like, people didn't have some of the skills. And so the Joy Code came when I called a colleague of mine who is a book coach, and I asked what they thought. And she was jumping up and down, and she said, "This is so timely and so needed." So it'll be out next year, the Joy Code, and it's all about how your brain learns through joy in 5 lenses. You mentioned the word lenses before.
Yeah.
So how you perceive it. And because I'm a neuroscience geek, I have to bring in the brain because, it's pretty cool. I don't know if any of you know this, but joy is something we can continue learning our entire life. So you're constantly creating new pathways in your brain to change your whole entire way of being, to become better versions of you.
Yeah, that's so exciting because we're always learning and growing. So to know that we can continue reaching a higher level of joy and our brains to learn different ways to reach the level of joy, that's amazing because it's there forever for the whole rest of our lives and for our existence here on Earth, which is really exciting. You're also a co-author of a few other books, is that right? So you talked about the 5 Steps to Thrive was the first book, and then the Ignite Your Life for Women and Ignite Your Life for Conscious Leaders. Is that another one that you also published and wrote?
Well, I have chapters in both of those 2 books.
Awesome.
It's a compilation series, and it's they're international bestsellers. So
Yeah.
great.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any upcoming, your book is exciting. So we all want to make sure that we're able to get some copies of those pre-order. So if we can get more information on that and you guys can follow Carol. Carol, if someone wanted to reach out to you to learn more about what you do and how you work with business owners and helping them transform their lives in that area, how would they reach you?
Well, anyone can reach out to me, call at info@itdoesn'tfeellikework.com. The other way, if anyone's interested, I can give you the link because there's been so much interest in joy that I thought I can't wait till the book comes out. I have to start doing things now. So I have 10 tips for joyful living right now. So if anyone's interested in that, I'm happy to share that. And,
Yes.
just reach out to me, because I have a lot of people asking me, can we do like a monthly, tea or, online virtual something? And there's a lot of interest, and I just have to, I'm pondering ways to support people through this time right now. Because
Good.
we're in uncertainty, and joy is different than happiness. Happiness is always usually it's an external pursuit of something. Joy is a way to relate to all of your life, to celebrate life, and here's the thing most people don't know. The best way to bring joy into your life is in your relationships.
Mm. Yeah.
There's no coincidence that we're all together today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100% believe that. Yes, we do want those 10 tips for joyful living. Everybody does. So if you'll post that below in Facebook on the video, as well as share that link with us, we will make sure it's in the description for the podcast. So if you're listening to this, you can click in the description and the 10 tips will be there for you to download. And thank you so much, Carol, for sharing that. And yes, the more that we can spread joy and the more that we can bring that into our lives, it's a way of being. Joy is a way of being, and starting with relationships, it's very important to do that, Carol. So if you, by reaching out to her, which we have all of her contact information below, as well as in the podcast description, it's a great way, again, ladies and everyone listening, for you to learn how to bring more joy and be more fulfilled with joy in your life. We all want that. Life does not have to be hard. Relationships do not have to be hard. We make them hard. Let's live our lives and have some joy and thrive, just as Kathleen was talking about. Thrive and lift each other and rise to the occasion to live your best life. I talk about this all the time. Whatever that life is for you, we want you to live your best life. And that doesn't mean you quit your job and just go travel around the world. But if it means you quit your job and go travel around the world because that's what you want to do, then do it. I've been trying to talk my husband into getting an RV for a really long time. I don't know if that will ever happen, but that would just be very joyful to me, to just be able to be portable and go visit some places we haven't done before. So it's on my bucket list, and it's something I want to do. And we don't want to have regrets. We don't know how long our lives are going to be, how long we're going to be on this earth. You don't want to have those regrets. So we really need to thrive and tap into that joy and just be happy and live the life that we desire. And it takes surrounding ourselves with people that can help us get there. It really does. That's why we have a tribe with L.E.A.P for Women. And so we invite you to be part of that tribe and be part of course, Carol's tribe and Kathleen's tribe and their communities as well. Very important to have people around you. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you here and for being so courageous to share your stories. We know how brave that is. So let's talk about our next week's guest that we have on September 30th. We're going to be welcoming Ann Landstrom. For those of you that don't know her, she's an award-winning master photographer. She's taken photography of Les Brown and so many other large speakers that I can think of, Tony Robbins and Sophia Olivis. She's going to be with us as well, and she's a women's financial sovereignty. So I'm excited to welcome her to the show as well. And as we're closing today, I want you to remember this one piece of advice. You are